Welcome to Off Script with Debbie, Season 4, COVID style. Yes, it's a little bit different, isn't it? We're in my home. There's no audience. There's no applause. I miss that applause. But you know what? We are here. And as we begin to think about Off Script with Debbie and should we have it this year, we just really felt like we have some amazing guests lined up and we wanted to get their message out. And I know for all you leaders out there, you've had to change how you've gotten your message out. Some of you have done it from your living rooms. Some of you have done it from the top of your churches, but you have continued to get your message out. And you encouraged me. I need to get these messages out. So we have a great lineup this year, and I'm so excited for you to hear these guests. My first guest is going to talk about anxiety, and I think this is perfect for where we're at. Not that anxiety is perfect, but I think there's a lot more people struggling with anxiety because of the uncertainty in our world. And she's going to talk to us about living with anxiety. And more importantly, she's going to share with you how to be a friend to someone and how to come alongside someone that struggles with anxiety. I know you're really going to enjoy her. And I know you'll enjoy all the episodes we have this year. So I just want to encourage you, stay tuned, be watching as we post these videos, and I just want to let you know you are not alone. I am so excited today to have my friend, Kathy Deuman, with me today, and she is going to be sharing with something that I think is so important for us to hear about living with anxiety. When we were asking different ministry leaders what we could share with this season, the one thing that kept coming up is something about anxiety. How do you live with anxiety? Is it okay to have anxiety? Should we have anxiety as Christians? It was just such a hot topic. And the minute we talked about having someone come on as a guest, I thought of Kathy, because Kathy has been so open, so authentic at different times when I've talked to her about her struggle with anxiety. So I just am so excited for you to meet my friend Kathy, and I want to tell you what I read about her on Facebook. This is what it says about her. I thought this was great. It said, who is Kathy? She is a wife. She is a mom of 2 kids. She's a nurse. She's a Jesus lover, a sour candy eater, a flip-flop wearer, a good book reader, not a bad book reader, but a good book reader. And she's a thrifty shopper, and she's a mom to 2 dogs. So I would like you to welcome Kathy Deuman with me today. Hello, Kathy.
Hi, friend.
Thank you for being here on my first Zoom interview.
So proud of you.
I'm so happy to have you here. You know, I wanted to ask you a question because a lot of people say, well, I think I have anxiety. And, you know, I don't know that it's anxiety. And I've read some things about what's the difference between people that have anxiety and people that have stress. I need to know this personally myself. What's the difference between that?
Well, I think from my experience, stress is really circumstantial. So it comes, with life experience. You're doing something stressful, a new job. Anxiety is every day. It could be over simple tasks of opening your email, of needing to cook dinner, of going to work and doing the same thing you do every day, but today I can't do it because I'm anxious. So to me, it's a little more chronic. Stress to me is a little situational, but anxiety can be quite chronic for people.
Yeah, and that's everything I read about it said that anxiety is internal and it just happens. It could be just, you're sitting there and suddenly your heartbeat starts going and you have anxiety. Where stress is more like probably what I'll experience before one of these episodes, and then it's done and I'm done and I move on. But that's more like stress. It's an external thing and it usually goes away. Anxiety doesn't go away.
It doesn't, and it does manifest itself inside. So a lot of your anxiety is hooked to your chest, your heart racing, you have chest pains. A lot of people come to the ER and think they're going to have a heart attack, but it's anxiety. A lot of it has to do with our bowels and, your gut and all of that is a big tool for when you're having anxiety. It's all just kind of a mess because we tend to internalize everything.
And it's a physical, everything I read said it's physical. You'll begin to have physical things in your body happen
because of the
Yes.
anxiety that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Now, this episode we're saying is living with anxiety because you live with anxiety.
I do.
When did you first start struggling with anxiety? Is it something you've always had, or did it come on at a certain time or age?
Well, I think I've always been anxious. I think I was an anxious child, but I don't think I knew what to do with it. I don't think my parents necessarily knew, no fault of their own, what to do with me. I think I've always been anxious, but Jason became lead pastor about 5 years ago. I think we're almost to 6. And that was a big turning point in my anxiety. I got a lot of anxiety, and I had never sought any sort of treatment for that. And didn't really know what was manifesting in my body. And I just was kind of keeping tabs and having different things happen. My guts weren't feeling good, having chest pain. I started getting migraines. I would be in a surgery and feel like I was going to faint. I always had the flu. None of it was true.
I think what you need to say, and when you're in a surgery, you are a registered nurse. So you're not having surgery, but you're in there with the surgeon.
Yes. So standing in there with the surgeon, doing things I do every day, I'm very confident in, and just feeling like I'm going to faint. And that was anxiety. And we were at a dinner. Some of Jason's colleagues from Northwest University wanted to have us over, and I thought I was getting the flu. And I was like, I think I'm getting the flu. I'm just going to go lay down over here. So I went and laid on our couch, and it wasn't going away. And I was like, boy, maybe I'm coming down with something. So we left, and we went to my mom's house to pick up my kids. And sure enough, I felt fine. I was totally fine. I was like, I'm fine, Jason. I'm fine. We left, and I'm totally fine.
I was healed. God healed me.
Yes, I'm fine. And I was like, what was that? And I didn't really know what it was, and didn't know what was happening to me. And then it happened again. And then it happened again. And they were panic attacks. And I didn't realize I was having a panic attack. Nobody could tell me. I truly thought, and you do, if you've had a panic attack, you feel like you have the flu. You feel like you're going to faint. You feel like you're having a heart attack. It takes over your body, and you don't know what to do. So it starts ruining your life.
Yeah. And it's interesting as a nurse that took you a little while to pick up on it, though.
I don't know that it took me a while. I think I don't want it.
Right. Well, that's a
so
good thing. Yeah.
I think I knew, but
I don't have the flu because that will go away.
Yeah. I just didn't want that to be my life. And it is. And so I think it took as much time to figure out what it was, but also took time for me to come to grips with, this is who I am. I have anxiety.
You know,
I need help.
I read that in America, in the United States, 40 million people struggle. That's 18% of our population, 18 and older, struggle with anxiety. I mean, that's almost like a fourth of our population struggle with what you have and what you struggle with. And I think that's why it's so important for us to talk about it, because I think in the church too many times we felt like we can pray over you and you'll be fine. Or I heard this one sermon, there's 266 scriptures about coming against fear. And if you just, would say those every day, that you would be fine. Yeah. And I think it's important for people to know and leaders to know that it's not always something spiritual, but this is something physical and that you need medical help for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one of the most damaging things I've heard, just as a fellow Christian who goes to church, is the Bible talks all about anxiety. And to me, I think, well, yeah, all about anxiety. So God must understand me. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. So when somebody says like, God can heal you, God can free you of this. Well, I know he can, but he hasn't. So now what? Can you still just love me, for my anxious state? Come meet me here. Yeah. I don't need more people to tell me that God can heal me. I fully believe in the power of healing, and I fully believe there will be freedom from this. I do not know if it will be on this earth, and I'm prepared for it not to be, but maybe it will be, or maybe it will be in heaven. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's when we as believers, we have to take a step back, because we aren't fixers. Yeah. God is.
Yes,
and
amen.
God knows you, and he knew that you would be a nurse. He also knew you would struggle with anxiety, and he has a purpose for our lives. Yeah. And our life's purposes, sometimes it means we struggle because he is working through us to touch someone else that maybe needs to hear the hope of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I think so many times we can be too thinking about ourselves, too myopic about us and our healing, instead of who can I touch along this journey towards my healing, and my healing may be in heaven.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that up to God.
Right.
But that he knows you, and that he made you just the way you are, and that he's with you,
Absolutely.
I think is such more important to say to someone than we need to pray 24 hours a day and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because
Thank
that
you.
doesn't always happen. No. Well, I wanted to ask you too, at what point, I had a viewer write into me and say, at what point do you know you need to get counseling, or do you need to be on medication? So I want to tell you a little funny story. Probably 10 years ago, a few years ago, I don't want to say 10 because then it dates me, but when I was going through kind of menopause, and I was kind of like, had going through some real life changes too, I thought I was like losing it. And so I went to my doctor, and I was having a physical, because that's the first thing you should do, is make sure you're physically okay. And I said, do you think I need to be on medication? Because I think I have anxiety or something. And this is what she said to me: do you want to kill your husband? And I was like, well, no. And she, okay, when you want to kill your husband, come back and I'll give you meds. And I thought that was the most strangest. I'm like, okay. I mean, that, and I don't think I did need medication at that
New
point.
doctor.
But yeah, maybe a new doctor, because I was like, okay, I have to kill someone before I get meds. But I want your input on that. When would you encourage someone that has been struggling, and not just with being stressful, but with the things that you're talking about, the physical, the flu feelings? When would you encourage them? What would you encourage them to do first? Medication, counseling, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I first knew I needed more help when my looping thoughts, often if you have anxiety, you have looping thoughts. So the same thought comes over and over and over. I've talked it through with my husband. You know, do we send our kids to school? Do we homeschool? We come to a decision, and the next day I have it again. I talk about it, and we have to I keep looping and looping and looping. That starts to ruin relationships, and that starts to cause friction. That starts to make you debilitated. Mm-hmm. And I think I got to the point where I every day was waking up with chest pain. I had physical chest pain. It hurt so bad, and I couldn't take a deep breath. I couldn't move on past that. And it got to the point where I thought, something's really wrong. It's more than prayer. It's more than talking with a trusted person, my husband. I need help. Yeah. I have family members. Some of my kids are in therapy for the same anxiety. I haven't sought counseling, but I have a really good general practitioner who helped me find some good medications to get on. And that all started for me at the beginning of COVID, actually in February. That brought on in the hospital a level of stress and unknown to me that was my tipping point of I didn't know, I couldn't deal with the every hour things changing. Do we have masks? Do we have gowns? Are my friends sick? It couldn't, it was too much coming in, and I couldn't deal with it. And so I kind of got to the point where my tipping point was that it ruined every other area of my life, where I could have left work at work. I can't do that anymore. I'm waking up, I'm stressed about it. I'm waking up in the middle of the night thinking of emails that mean nothing. I just needed help. And a lot of times if you have anxiety, you don't know you need help, which is the important thing, is to have somebody that you can be honest, transparent with, your husband, a trusted friend, that you can say, I'm struggling with this. What do I need to do? Because I have friends in my life, and I have a husband that I can tell these thoughts to, and I can speak to them, and they say, no, Kathy, the truth is this. This is the truth. Because anxiety is our truth. It's my truth. I feel this right now. This is what is happening in my body. It's true for me, but it's actually not the truth. Right. Does that make sense?
It's not reality, but
it's not reality, but it's my
Yeah.
reality, but it's actually not reality. But our mind is broken. It needs help. And for a little while, it's okay to have somebody speak into your life and put you back on track. But after a while, it's going to take its toll physically on your cardiovascular, on your heart. It's going to take a toll on your gut, gives people terrible things with their colons. Anxiety wreaks havoc, high blood pressure, which will lead to stroke. All of these things, often if you have anxiety, you're on blood pressure medication too, because you just can't, come down. So I think there's checklists, but I think you have to find somebody that you can be open with. And for me, it started with my general practitioner, and she was really wonderful. I've gone to her for years, and she was like, yes, you need help. You need medicine. And she was always so good to say, this isn't forever. This is for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm medicated. And it takes a long time to find medicine that works. And she's been wonderful to help me find something that works to work with me. Yeah.
I had a good friend that, this was years ago, back before it was kind of accepted more. She was in our church, and really, I mean, she had gone through a traumatic thing that she just needed some help for a season.
Yeah.
And I remember when she came to church, though, she came and she just would sit there. There was no expression, there was no personality. And finally, I just said to her, I said, can I ask you what kind of medication you're on? I mean, and I said, she goes, why? And I said, you're not who you are.
Yeah.
You kind of, we've lost you. Well, she went back and they had to just kind of work with her to get it to the right dose. They brought it down. She was on medication for 6 months, but it got her through horrific time in her life. And she is a thriving, and she was a thriving Christian then too. But she was able to move through that time and be better. And not have her body shut down because she was going through so much at the time. But I do remember, I probably was that trusted friend that said, this isn't good, because the medication was kind of just making her like, you know.
It does. It's really difficult to find a good one and to find a dose that works for you. So you do need those cheerleaders in your life to say like, hey, you seem better today, or hey, you don't seem yourself. What's going on? You need those people that are willing to walk that road with you.
Well, and that was another question I got from a viewer. They said, how do I be a friend to someone that's struggling with anxiety? And I thought that was an excellent question, because I think as leaders in the church, we need to know, how do we come along somebody with anxiety? I mean, I don't want to just throw a scripture at you or the next, you know, the newest book out there. I want to be a friend that can walk with someone through this. So what would you say? What are some good things people can do to help you during your times?
One of the main things I need people to bring me back to truth. I need people in my life that say, Kathy, I hear you. I see you're feeling this way, but actually God says this. Awesome. Or I need people in my life. You know, my husband is really good at saying, I know you're feeling this way. I know you're upset and you think it's this. It's actually because you have a dentist appointment in 2 days and you're really nervous about it.
And he will know.
And he will know. You know, you need people in your life that are just going to bring you back to the truth of God. And that doesn't mean handing a scripture out. I have scriptures all over my house. I read the word of God. Jesus and I, we tight.
Yeah, and you're a pastor's daughter. You grew up in the church. Yes,
I know my Bible.
I got it down,
Yes, I need you by my side. I just need to know you're there. You need to be okay hearing the same looping thoughts over and over and over when I'm so nervous about something, and just say like, I hear you. Yeah, I'm with you in that, because there's no way I'm going to rewire my brain if I can't verbalize, process it. Some people might write it. Some people can talk to a therapist. I've just got to get it out of me. I've got to talk about it. So a trusted friend is good that way.
When you're talking to your friend, let's say you're just sitting here and talking to me, what do you want from me? Do you want response? Do you want encouragement? Do you want, what would you want from your friend during those times? Do you want words, or do you just want a listening ear?
I just want to be heard.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just want to be reminded that I'm okay. A lot of times anxiety is uncertainty, right? It's uncertain about the outcome. It's something's going on. We're really uncertain about it. And we don't know why such and such might happen. And we just kind of trail down. I need somebody to pull me back in. I need somebody to remind me of that sure footing that I have, of, you know, that Jesus that never fails, of that promises that we have, that, you know, you'll still be my friend. I need that rope to come back, because when you have anxiety, you tend to just kind of trail off in your own thoughts, in your own mind. And a lot of times it isn't truth. It's truth to me, but it's not truth. So I need somebody to, you know, come alongside and pull me back in.
I like what you just said. I want to know you'll still be my friend. Is there that like, have you ever had anyone walk away from being your friend just because of your anxiety?
Oh, sure. Or I've ruined friendships probably because of my anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I tend to be a fixer, so I'd want to do something for you. Like I'd want to buy you something. I'd want to take you. You know, for me, I tend to want to be able to help you. But I'm hearing from you, the best thing I could do is just sit and listen and accept you for who you are in that moment.
Right. Yeah.
And
Don't
then
try and
speak truth
fix me.
and speak truth to you.
Yes. Yeah. I don't need to be fixed. I
Mhm.
know the fixer. He's going to heal me. He hasn't yet, but he's going to.
Yes.
And I
Amen.
believe that. And I don't need to be told I'm broken. Just this is just who I am. So
Right.
just be with me in this spot.
And you just want to be accepted and you want to belong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I think we all do. And just to be accepted by your friends. I think many people want to help, but what I've seen in relationships where there's someone that struggles with anxiety, either we want to fix it, so we send them quotes and Bibles and books and, chocolate, or we just walk away from the relationship because we are so overwhelmed because we don't know what to do. And I think it's important for people to hear from you. Just listen and accept you.
Yeah. Let us be who we are. Let us work it out. We're there. Just keep reminding us that God is still on the throne, that we can do it, that we can overcome.
Amen.
Encourage us to get help, to seek professional counseling, doctors, I think we already know we're broken.
Right.
I already know my mind
You
is
don't
not
need
whole.
someone else telling you that because
I
it's
don't
already
need
in
you
your
in my
mind.
corner.
Yeah.
I spend all day realizing and physically feeling that I'm broken.
Yeah.
I don't need another person to come alongside me and remind me of my brokenness.
I
Remind me of Jesus.
I heard someone just say that, an author say, you know what, I'm my worst enemy. I don't need you to come alongside and bring those thoughts back up.
No.
I just push them down, and when you bring them back up, I am trying to breathe again and move ahead. I just need encouragement. I need to feel the love of God through you.
Absolutely.
That you love me just the way I am, and that yes, I'm going to get better, but for this moment, you still love me right where I'm at. And I think that's powerful of a friend.
Yeah.
Have you ever struggled during this time with your faith, feeling, that somehow you weren't a good Christian, or if you were a Christian, you shouldn't struggle with having anxiety? Because I have heard people say that, well, they must be something wrong, or, do they have hidden sin? I think that's horrible, but I've heard those comments made. Have you ever struggled with that, or had people say those things to you?
I haven't. I haven't struggled in my relationship with the Lord as it is to anxiety. I think, Paul talks about that like thorn in his side.
Yeah.
And I honestly can say that I don't know where my faith would be if I didn't have anxiety to just hit me up beside the rock of the Lord. Like, it is a continual balancing act in my life that brings me straight back to the throne. Now, I've struggled being a pastor's wife with anxiety. I've struggled loving people because I have anxiety. I've struggled with their expectations of me. I've never struggled with who Jesus is and who he is in my life. I honestly don't know where I would be without him. I don't know where I would be without knowing that he's talked about anxiety and fear so much in the Bible, because that's me. He wouldn't have put it in there if it wasn't important. He wouldn't have put it in there if there wasn't other people struggling like me. Come on, right? He's not just going to spend all that time to talk about 2% of people.
Right.
No. So, I mean, he is my absolute world. I cling to that hope that he sees me in my dire need, and he loves me in all of my brokenness. And when my mind plays tricks on me, and when I can't reel it back in, and when I have to talk to my husband for the 15th time, the same story, and have him tell me the same ending, that it's going to be fine, he sees me and he loves me and he gives me grace.
That's right.
Just keep being me and keep showing up. And some days it's really hard, and some days I need different medication, and some days I need more, some days I need less. But I haven't ever struggled with Jesus, struggled with people, but I have never struggled with him being.
And Kathy, I
so
think
close.
that does show a strong upbringing. It does show people around you that have loved you.
Yeah.
Because I know there are those people that have struggled, and some that will probably be listening to us that would say, well, I didn't have that. Yeah. And I have felt like less of a Christian because I've struggled with this. I have talked with some that just struggled with, why can't I get past this if I'm a Christian? And I think for you to just give these words of hope that it is the pendulum for you that keeps you just bouncing back to Jesus, because you know that you need him each and every day. So you don't look at it as being a curse against you, but it's just how God's made you, and he's loving you through it. Because I know some people probably are struggling with anxiety, especially with COVID. I read this article, or I heard a podcast. They say that the anxiety in teenagers has risen like 25% since COVID started. It's teenagers into their early 20s, because their whole world has been rocked. And they don't know like what kind of future they have, what kind of job they're going to have. And I think for them to hear someone like you who struggles with anxiety to say, it's okay, you're going to be okay, God loves you, he doesn't love you less because you have anxiety, he loves you right where you're at, and he's going to walk with you through this. And so you have to have someone that speaks life into you. And call them up and say, this is where I'm at, and they can just help you turn that around. So if a person says, I want that, but I don't know how to find that person, how would you encourage someone to find that trusted friend?
Oh my goodness. I wish I could be friends with every person struggling. I really do. You have to just reach out. I think I have reached out to missionary friends as a pastor's wife. You know, so many of my wonderful trusted friends are online that I don't see all the time.
Right.
You know, they don't have to be in person. It could be somebody that you admire, somebody that you've seen on Facebook, another pastor's wife down the, street, somebody you meet at a coffee shop, your kid's school.
But reach out.
You have to reach out. You have to take that first step of healing.
And I think about the woman in Mark, in the Bible, in the book of Mark, where she went for God and she reached out and she was healed, but she went after him.
You have to.
I think what you're saying is don't give up. Keep reaching out. God, and I believe in the power of God and his Holy Spirit. And I believe if you truly are seeking for someone to walk this road with you, and you begin praying and seeking and asking God, he will put someone in your path. And when you reach out, they're going to grab your hand, and you are going to have a trusted friend to walk with.
Absolutely.
First of all, Jesus, who walks with us, but I understand what you're saying. You need someone else that's going to speak that truth back to you. And I truly believe God has that for you. You begin praying and seeking, and he'll bring someone to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Well, Kathy, I just want to say thank you for being here with us, for being so vulnerable, for sharing. I really, truly know it's going to encourage many people when they hear your story. I think for some, it's going to encourage them just to be open that they are struggling. And how can you get help unless you're honest that you need help?
Right.
And that's where I think some just need to come to that point. And with COVID and all that's going on, I think we need to be ready as leaders and as churches to help people that are struggling with anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
To walk this path.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kathy. Thanks for being here. You're amazing. You're awesome. And now you can go relax.
Okay.
Right? Yay, you're done. Thank you so
Debbie.
much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I so enjoyed having Kathy here. I knew that she would just bless you. And she blessed me just with her authenticity and being honest about she's not broken. This is just something she's working through, and God is with her through it. And it's how God's made her. And that he someday may heal her, and he will heal her. But if it's on earth, that's great. But if it's in heaven, that's okay. She's accepted where she's at, knowing that God is working through her, not maybe just for herself, but maybe even for others. I picked out this verse in Psalms 94:19. It says this in the NIV version: when anxiety was great within me, your consolation, if I could say the word, brought me joy. That means your comfort brought me joy. And I just thought, why would God even put that in the Bible? Like Kathy said, he wouldn't put it in the Bible unless he knew we were going to struggle at times with anxiety. And he is saying, when anxiety was great, he is there for you. And the Message, it says this: if God hadn't been there for me, I never would have made it. The minute I said, I'm slipping, I'm falling, your love, God, took hold and held me fast. When I was upset and beside myself, you calmed me down and you cheered me up. I love that. You calmed me down and you cheered me up. And when we are struggling with anxiety, we just need to be calmed down and cheered up. And that's what God does. So I just want to encourage you, as we have learned today, anxiety is more than just being stressed. but it's fears that come and they stay with you, and it's something at times that people have to live with. But how can we as leaders encourage others? And we need to know what resources are available. And we need to do, as Kathy said, just have a listening ear. Connect them with a friend, connect them with someone. We want them to know they're heard. I kept hearing that from Kathy. She just needed to be heard. And I think as leaders, if we know that we can listen, and beyond that, that we can point them to Jesus, and we can point them to any resources we have that can help them move forward. Because we want everyone to know you are not alone. You are not alone. So thank you, and have a great day.